Welcome back to Stadia Source, your number one source for Stadia news and reviews, and what was expected to be a very special episode of the Round Table podcast. Unfortunately, our guest is possibly needing a reschedule. We've had some scheduling conflicts there, so we might end up seeing him tonight, but we may end up rescheduling Karim Jovian for another special edition of the Round Table. So for the time being, for those of you who have joined us here live on the podcast, we're going to give a few minutes and see what happens. And in the meantime, if you've got any questions for us, we'll call this a Stadia Source Round Table open mic. So in the chat, if there's anything that you might be interested in knowing about us, our thoughts on hot topics, news stories of the day, you just really want to know what Ash's recipe for cherry tarts is, and he wants to walk through that. Dan's personal recommendations for microphone technology, then we are happy to give you guys those details.
Whichever works. Yeah, we basically could just have an open mic and just chat about anything that you guys want. We can have a quick chat about any of the topics that we've had today. We've had quite a few things in the news today. Obviously, I don't want to kind of give ourselves nothing to talk about later on in the week when we do our Thursday podcast and whatever. We've got calls to put Eddie on. So
we've got Eddie Player One. Might want to come in and say hi.
Shoot him a link. More than merrier, I guess.
I will have a link in your inbox in your Twitter momentarily. We love chatting with Eddie Player One. He is a true classic. Let's see if I've ever messaged you before, Eddie. There we go.
He wants my hat. It's my hat.
Your exact hat or another version of it?
You don't want this one, it's sweaty.
Especially after this week.
Eli Levi. Sorry, it looks like Karim is not going to be joining us at this point in time. He may be running slightly late, he may show up, or we might have to reschedule for another time. So apologies that obviously we might have brought you here on false pretenses. I know you've all come in looking for an interview with Karim, but things happen, these things happen, it can't be helped. So
but we appreciate you sticking around. Still 19 of you hanging out with us, at least as of the little eyeball in the corner for me. Yeah. So we appreciate you guys sticking around. Eddie is going to be able to talk about this himself as soon as he checks his Twitter DMs and hops in for that stream link. But did we take a look at the Night City Wire? I didn't get a chance to check it out today, but I saw there were like multiple... Cloudy with a Chance of Games ran a story on it, and then we also covered it, that there were several new features, characters, etc. Did y'all get a chance to take a look?
I wrote the article, so I had a quick look at the videos. I think it's more,
Dan just
more
guessed
of the same
the entire time. I don't know. Yeah. It's probably cyber stuff.
So here's the man.
And there we go.
Hello, Eddie.
We got an Eddie.
Thanks
for hopping.
Yep. There you go.
Are you guys?
I know you all came here today really to see a surprise appearance by Eddie Player One. That's clearly
that's all
what y'all had on the docket.
It's Karim in disguise.
Yeah, no, that was all a setup for me to come here. Has been a while.
So Dan, you were saying Cyberpunk Night City Wire.
Yeah, I think it's more of the same. We just got to see more of the games. We got to see more about like the weapons and stuff like that. If I just bring it up on my screen here so you can see it. So we got to see more about the life paths. So obviously you can choose like different backstories and stuff like that. There's more of the weapons. And then you can watch the whole thing here if you're so inclined. So, Eddie, what did you think of it?
I liked very much. So when we started to see what they started to show, it's life paths. So life paths, it's how you start your gameplay. You can start on the streets. You can start it like a nomad, as they calling. And the last option, you can start as a corporal. So depending on how you start, It's a complete RPG based, as they said, it's a FPS RPG. So depending on how you start, you will be easy to interact in some parts of the city and some missions. I liked very much what I saw, and I know what I'm going to start from the streets, because we started from the bottom, now we're here.
Absolutely.
And then, it gives the game a really high replayability, and we're not even talking about the multiplayer yet.
Yeah, no mention of day and date though.
Oh, all right. Let me share this. So I was on the Brazilian community, Stadia Brazilian community. Yes, that exists, even though Stadia is not there yet. It started by saying, so we just saw Night City Wire. At the end, showed a few logos, including Stadia, and said it available November 19th. Right. We know that Stadia and CD Projekt Red said Stadia version is coming later on the year. After the whole, I don't know what word to use to express the situation, drama, I guess.
Debacle,
yeah.
Debacle.
I was thinking something much worse.
The swear word.
Yes.
I feel like we are not gonna hear anything until it's very closer to the 19th, because at the end of the presentation it said pre-order now, showed the logos, and right now, if I'm not wrong, you can pre-order in every single one of those platforms except for Stadia.
The popo's after someone.
It's not me.
Can hear the siren in the background. So
it actually is here. I live close to a hospital, so
okay.
Everything's all right.
Just a quick comment from Eli.
Yeah, Stadia Source. Do you guys always buy the games on launch date, or do you ever wait for the games to be on sale? So on a few occasions, we are your number one source for Stadia news and reviews. So we do get advance. Sometimes we get advanced copies, but usually we'll get review copies of games that we're going to be doing first looks or written reviews on. But for anything that we don't, for me, it just depends on the game. I'm the kind of person that I'll wait forever for a sale. It could be the brand like Cyberpunk, and it's the most hotly anticipated game of the year, and I'm like, well, I could wait 7 months to play this if I'm going to get $10 off. But I know that not everybody is willing to wait for that. And the stage like Breath of the Wild, I bought pretty quickly, and Mario Odyssey, I bought quickly for the Switch. So it depends on the game. Avengers, I think I'll probably pick up day and date, but Cyberpunk looks cool. It's just not on top of my list. Watch Dogs look cool. Valhalla, I will probably be buying day and date as well. What about you guys?
That kind of jumps into his next question as well, which we'll jump into in a minute. Same for me as well, really. If it's a game I really, really, really want, then, day and date, probably no matter what the cost. Obviously, yes, you mentioned we get review copies and stuff, but sometimes we have to fight each other to the death for them. If it's a game I'm not too bothered about, then
it's a review copy, not a review copy to Stadia Source at all, right then?
Yeah, pretty much. So, what about you guys?
For me, it's like Avengers, that comes out a few days before I get paid. So unfortunately, we'll have to wait a few days, but I will be getting it the second money gets into my account. Hopefully, by the time Watch Dogs and Cyberpunk comes out, we do have the pre-order in place. We've already got the Destiny 2 pre-order currently. So hopefully by then, more will be released. If not, then I will be putting money aside. 100% Cyberpunk, I still have my £10 discount. That's where I'll be using it.
The last title I picked up as a pre-order, it was The Last of Us 2. I picked it up, I guess, a month before that. On Stadia right now, I actually haven't picked anything on day and date, but I'm going to be picking for now, for sure. Windbound, I'm going to pick in day and date. And I'll have a little bit of wait. Probably I will pick up was again from the Ubisoft, not the Viking one, the London one, Watch Dogs.
Watch Dogs, yeah.
So I will pick up Watch Dogs and Valhalla. I'm growing that Valhalla beer right now, but the Valhalla, I will probably actually both of those. I need to wait and see what we're seeing more on Uplay Plus, because that's coming, right?
At some point.
Hopefully, it's coming soon. It's that you could trademark that and put that on. If Stadia ever has a tombstone in the Google graveyard, just put "coming soon" right as the epitaph. In there.
Can we just copyright "coming soon" so Google can never use it again without paying us?
Coming soon to Stadia. We'll copyright that whole phrase.
Yes.
Eli, hey, do you go for Cyberpunk 2077 or do you go for Valhalla first? I don't know that you could really pick two different games unless maybe one of them was like a racing game versus the other one being but like stylistically speaking, you almost couldn't get further in time, like 600s to 2077s. This one would be a toughie. For me, it would be Valhalla, just because I loved Odyssey. Odyssey was the first game I finished on Stadia. But Eddie, which of these two, if you could only pick one, which one do you think you would go with?
I would go with a Cyber. That's a hard one. So this is the Assassin's Creed poster. This is an Assassin's Creed action figure, but I've been waiting Cyberpunk for 8 years. So I'm one of those that has been following since the very beginning of the development. So I'm gonna tell you guys, Valhalla, we have a release date already.
Yep.
It's before November 19th, right?
It is on November 17th.
November 17th. Yeah.
2 days before.
2 days before. So
2 days before, we may or may not get Cyberpunk. So you might have some time anyways to buy one and then play it through.
I'll play. You know what? I'll get Assassin's Creed, and then I'll probably wait maybe 1 month or so, because since Cyberpunk is an RPG, it has so many elements that you can play later without getting any major spoilers from anybody who's playing before. So I'll probably be playing Valhalla, and then wait maybe 1-2 months to see if there's any big sale on Cyberpunk. But hey, I'm also a fan of Watch Dogs.
So for me, the way I see it is Assassin's Creed. Well, take Cyberpunk. Yeah, there's a lot of hype in the community for it, and I think sometimes you've got to be careful when there's a lot of hype for something. Whereas Assassin's Creed is a kind of tried and true, tested formula. Do you know what I mean? There's been loads of Assassin's Creed games, whereas there's not been any Cyberpunk games before. So what I'm wary about is that Cyberpunk comes out, it's full of bugs, it's full of, overhype that never actually comes into fruition, and people get annoyed with it, and they've waited 8 years for something that, is effectively not as good as what we thought it was going to be. So, but it all comes down to personal choice, I think.
Yeah, it's like for me, I've loved the Assassin's Creed series. The only one I've not really played is the original and Comet, was it? I forgot the name of it. It was the one where you could have up to 4 players within the game.
Not aware of that one.
Brotherhood?
No, years after then. They released 2 games roughly like a year apart. I can't remember the names of them. But I believe it was the one where you could see through the face and just see like the eyes and the teeth.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was a bit of a bug.
I was just describing a dream you had once.
Really, I can Google it and show you. But yeah, I've loved the Assassin's Creed for years, but out of the 2, I would choose Cyberpunk, because obviously I've had years of experience with Assassin's Creed. You essentially know what the backstory is of the, I forgot the names of them now, but the ancient ones, let's call them for now. So you can roughly tell where the game's going anyway. Like with this one, I imagine that you're in England, you're in Roman Viking times, and slowly over time you will find little hints that they existed. You'll find little pieces to put together like all the other games, and so for me that is just a similar story with a different coat of paint over. Whereas Cyberpunk for me is a completely different game, one we've not really had something like the fact that you've got 3 different lifestyles that you can choose from, similar to GTA 5, where you have the 3 characters you can choose from. Again, completely different lifestyles that you can follow and lead. So for me personally, I will go for Cyberpunk because of the vast story that you can have, and like you said, Eddie, the what's the word? The replayability of the game.
Yeah,
That's
the
a very
chat
good
seems-
comparison, right?
Yeah, the chat seems a little divided. Little 1233 says Cyberpunk. Victor says Assassin's Creed. Zero says PGA Tour 2K21. Zero, I don't know that you're participating in this chat the way I'm thinking, but C-Trute. C-Trute. How do I know that name? Valhalla first, pretty close together.
Lee's played no other game but Assassin's Creed for the past however old he is years.
He is the Creed.
Lee has been trapped in an Assassin's Creed game. Like this, if he just removes the headset, he will find that he's been doing things anyways.
I have a question to the panel. So since the initial goal of the conversation was going to be on crowdplay, which game from Ubisoft do you guys think would benefit most of crowdplay?
That's a good question.
Yes.
I don't know that you could really do crowd play in any of their RPGs, so you'd probably be looking at like a they're the Division people, right?
Yeah.
You can tell how few of these games I really know. I think something like that, where you're like, I need a squad, I got 3 openings, let's go, and you put the link out, would probably do fairly well.
Trials Rising as well.
I forget that they have like all the games of theirs I ever think of. Hey, look at that! That is a amazing place on StadiaSource.com, your number one source for Stadia news and reviews, to see your games by publisher. No, Uno's a terrible idea. Why would you want to? I think Monopoly. Just open yourself up to that level of torture to let just the internet at random join you for Monopoly would be a great choice.
I disagree on Monopoly because the rounds could be tough and long, but I completely agree on the one you are hovering up.
Can you imagine being in the queue for Monopoly, like 2 hours later?
Approximate wait, 17 hours. They'd have to let people like drop out and then jump in. It's almost like tagging out. Like, I can't take any more of this. Somebody please just drop into slot 4.
Yeah, but then that'll be probably the person with the least amount of properties, the least amount of money, and then just tag someone else in. They're like, well, what am I supposed to do now?
It's not hate quitting anymore at crowdplay.
So I do want to quickly jump in for a second just to prove to people something. Right, I'll be back in a second.
This is your Assassin's Creed thing, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Ash has to be very careful about what screen of his he shares.
I've only got one. Say it's not a dream. Assassin's Creed, you had face glitches. Unity, that was it. Unity.
My
Assassin's Creed.
God.
Yes.
And now we zoom into the Matrix there in the middle. Just Dance could be one. I mean, obviously that one has room for that.
Thing is, like your Ghost Recon's, your Rainbow Six. If that obviously that's not confirmed as coming yet, but they're kind of like, again, they're not games you can just jump in and out of really quickly, and they only allow a certain amount of people in, like obviously like 3 or whatever it is. I mean, if you can quad up and play, so you kind of want quick, sharp games that you can just have a game. You know what I mean? Like Mortal Kombat, for example. You have a game, you're out next, and you can kind of cycle and rotate those people in and out really quickly. So.
But it's like if you did the crew, for example, you could do a random race, send the button out there. Well, you can send a button anywhere, but activate the button, have 3 other people join you, do one race, and then get a new set of people in as well.
Yeah. What do we think for overall then? So talking about any game rather than just Ubisoft ones, is there any games that you guys want to see crowd play appear on that we don't already know is coming? Do you want me to get a list of every single game ever?
I mean, certainly. I mean, there's like genres of games that make perfect sense. So, anything that's going to be racing, anything that's sports, anything that's PvP shooter type things, those are obviously all going to be perfectly good. One of the I just saw it a few minutes ago. Who posted about? There we go. Cyberfair. Fall Guys. I've been watching this game. I hovered over the buy button on Steam today, and then I scrolled down and looked at the minimum requirements, and I was like, I could run a potato, but I probably can't do much more than that. So I chose not to spend that $20, even though, support developers. But like that one right there would be killer with crowd play, because it's literally just, all right, go, everybody drop in and become a bean and see if you can beat me.
Well, it's not just that as well. It's with Stadia, for example, we've got Super Bomberman are coming for us. Console and PC up to 8 players, Stadia up to 64 players. With something like that, I believe I can't remember if it's 60 or 100 players you can have on console and PC for it. But even then, if the devs were to double or triple the size of the maps, keep everything on it the same, but just upscale the maps, then think of how many players we could get on that then and have it a full Takeshi's Castle.
Yeah. So if I just bring up the rest of the games, where is it?
So one that we forgot to mention, I do think party games in general. If we think on games that are already available, for example, Xtra, I think playing Prop Hunt with the viewers over the crowd play would be great as well. So any party game, such as Fall Guys, we can talk more about Fall Guys later if you want, or Cake Bash, or all of these titles that are party games, I would say, fits perfect for crowd play and the sports titles as well, right?
So you get packed, you just shape some beats. Is that actually a party game? I've not seen a multiplayer aspect of that.
It does have a multiplayer mode. There's a casual and a ranked multiplayer mode on that. Certainly, like the we've mentioned before, the Jackbox Party Pack games are like just such an obvious fit for Stadia. Like it amazes me that those are not. They never came out on Chromecast to begin with, but then like it's just an obvious fit for Stadia, and the fact that we haven't seen those yet is surprising.
Any
particularly
sports
because
game?
that's another one where crowd play.
Any sports games you'd like to see crowd play come to? Jump in for a quick game of NBA or something?
FIFA.
NBA 2K21, NBA 2K.
Yeah.
Get your team together.
There's also,
even though NBA 2K some months ago was really, really hard to find people to play the game online on Stadia. It's not cross-play. And there's a mode where you play 5-on-5. So you would need 10 players to be there to play with you, or even to play on the parks. So it fits perfect with NBA 2K. And it was the very first title that the feature crowd play was announced with. When they presented that in GDC in March 2019, they showed crowd play using NBA 2K20. Do you guys remember that?
Absolutely, yeah.
Still haven't seen it.
Yeah.
That one would also be one, I guess, for the crowd play testing. Mortal Kombat or any kind of like a 1v1 makes sense because it's really tightly controlled, and I could see why they wouldn't start testing this yet. But we're gonna have to see more than 1v1 at some point in these crowd play tests, because the next thing we've got coming up that we know about is either Bomberman, which is 64 players, or Dead by Daylight, which is 5 players. So they're gonna have to give us 1v many or many v many at some point, for at least for testing purposes.
Yeah.
Looking at the Stadia Source website, #1 source for Stadia news, Spitlings. It will be a great one as well, because Spitlings we got as a free pro title. It's fun. I gotta tell you,
Can you
it's
imagine
fun.
how annoying that would be, though, playing with like. Sometimes the coordination is lackluster at best, but can you imagine playing it with complete strangers with no audio feedback from them or being able to talk to them?
The good part is that when you are playing with crowd play, you can skip someone if it's being like a troll phone. You can just go and skip to the next opponent.
Yeah.
Or not, or party member, or yep.
Other example. Oh, you were just clicking the one that I was clicking. Any kind of an online component like ESO, form a trial group, Red Dead Online, GTA 5. Whenever if we get that one, it's on everything but toasters like Skyrim. So,
see, the only bad thing I'd say about having it for Red Dead Online is obviously you want to know who's in your posse so you can all work together. Whereas you don't want to have like a rogue person jump in just to mess up all the work that you're trying to do or something like that.
I think that's a good, probably a good use for the feature that we know about, where you can limit it to just channel members, like paying customers, so to speak. Because if they're already buying into you as a channel, then they're probably hopefully not going to screw you over. There's no guarantee of that. It's the internet. Welcome everybody, but hopefully you're going to have a decent experience out of that person.
See, the thing is, I'm the type of player where I completely hate grid, but if we were playing it, I will play it all with you. But if I was starting to lose extremely badly, I am the type of person to turn my car completely around, drive the other way just to crash into whoever's first to make them last.
Only if you're getting lapped at that point, right? If you're losing so badly that you're about to get lapped.
You should be the new troll phone, Ash.
Even if someone's literally the last person ahead of me is round the corner, I would just stop my car, turn around, go 10 miles backwards, deliberately just to make
That's
people
what I
last.
call being a sore loser.
I'm just picturing Ash going, I might be in 34th place, but you're going to be in last place, number 35. And then just, like, at that point, nobody could care less.
If I can't win, no one can.
Basically, yeah.
Set your car sideways on the track on a tight curve and just be like, screw all y'all.
Oh, Dan seen me do that kind of thing before in the crew, where I'd win, then I'd turn around and drive right back towards everyone.
Oh, it's too
he's
funny.
a bugger for that. Do you think we could see it in games like Destiny, for example? Like you could open up a private, lobby and fill it quickly with, I think it's like 6 per team, isn't it, or something like that? It would be anybody's guess as to which team you would be on. You might be on the streamer's team, or you might be against them. You're still playing with them technically.
They've got to figure. There has to be some kind of mechanism being built there, because if you're looking at like Dead by Daylight, unless the only thing that crowdplay will let you do is become one of the survivors, then they have to have some way to allocate, like, what are you queuing for? Are you queuing for, role A or role B? I mean, granted, this is pure speculation. I have no idea. But unless it's literally the only thing we're going to crowd play is survivors, and so I'm, that's the streamer, which they could totally do. I mean, that would be a fun way to play that game. But if they're going to let you queue for both, they have to have a system for that.
Yeah. Food for thought. I guess we probably won't realise until we actually get our hands on it ourselves. I guess this could have been something we asked Karim. I don't know if he'd have known the answer for, but at least he would have been able to share his experience. I think with Mortal Kombat, though, it's probably just you queue to verse him and that's it. So I don't know if he would have known the answer to that question.
You know what? I from the streams that I saw crowdplay on, I saw it queuing up just versus the streamer. You cannot do, for example, Mortal Kombat has a mode called King of the Hill, where the winners stays. So, as my understanding with crowdplay, you cannot do that. So that's why it's probably yet. You cannot do that yet. But as far as I understand, it's okay. I want to be playing against this streamer. This is all of his private lobby, and to get into this private lobby, I gotta press this button, and Google is doing the queue for me. And whenever it's time for me to be the first on queue, Google put me on that lobby to be the next one. But Dan can resemble a little bit here to me as a software developer. It's basically Google is holding up the queue, sending the next one on the queue to Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat pushes that one to the lobby, and then it just skip to the next one.
It'd almost be the same sort of technology as like your standard game invites, really.
Right.
I can imagine it's just obviously cutting out the notifications, stuff like that. And well, I think you still get a notification to say you're up next, just in case you
And
kind of.
actually, yeah, I was playing. I think it was. I don't remember if it was Jurgenauts or if it was Karim or who was, but I was playing the game. So I was playing Mortal Kombat against another online opponent, and it was my turn to play against the streamer that I clicked on crowd play on the stream. I got a notification on the game saying, on Stadia, saying player X is inviting you to play with him.
Yeah.
So by clicking on that, I went there and I was there on the stream. So it triggered a standalone notification to be playing against someone.
It's almost like you're requesting a game invite from the person who would normally have to send it out manually.
Right.
And then adding them to a queue. So anything technically that you could invite someone to, so long as the software, the game developers have enabled it, then theoretically that should work. So we may actually see things like King of the Hill in Mortal Kombat, you know what I mean, coming to crowd play. It might just be that they wanted to test this one particular aspect of the game just to test it and make things not as complicated. So speculation, of course.
It's like Juggernaut said when we had the interview that part of crowd play did have that you could basically jump someone up to the top of the queue if you wanted to play that person next, as well as the fact that there were options. I can't remember if he said what they were, but that there were a few other options, but they were grayed out. So obviously one of those could...
Yeah, it was for things like you could remove somebody from the queue, you could set the queue to members only, so there are a couple of other things that he hadn't played around with, but...
Yeah, but obviously as it is still the beta testing stage, whatever you want to call it, obviously we could see a lot more coming to it by the time it's fully revealed. But until there's either more tests or any word from Google, then it's just a wait and see kind of situation.
Speculation question. Do you guys think we're going to see crowd play released to everybody, or a few tests with crowd choice before releasing everything to everybody?
See, I think there'll be a test with both before the full release.
Yeah, Google is a big fan of this pocket of people get this thing, this pocket get this thing, this pocket gets mixes,
I still haven't got
A/B testing and stuff.
Yet.
And there's something slightly different about this because it's so public. It's not like you have the green button and then the person next to you has the blue button on your phone in the Gmail app. But at least with them, it's... I don't know. I think we'll continue to see folks doing crowd play tests. I think at some point, speculation, at some point in the next few weeks, we're going to see another game hit in that, because there's only so much knowledge that you're going to get from Mortal Kombat. You need a game that does something different. So we're going to see a different game crop up. And then I think we'll see somebody else do a test on crowd choice. But we know crowd choice is supposed to be coming with Dead by Daylight. And Dead by Daylight is supposed to be coming in September, right? So there's not a lot of time left on them to figure out or to really do public testing. Unless they've already done it. This is the other thing that gets me. We know about the ones we know about. But if the people that they've been choosing to stream so far are these, God bless Juggernaut and Karim, uninvolved, not known streamers, and the other guy, then it could be that,
there could be. I just saying random because
random.
his YouTube is called Random Game.
Then there could very well be some videos out there that used crowd choice or used crowd play, and maybe they went unlisted, or they went private, or they got deleted, and we will not know because nobody found them in advance. I would not doubt if there is a video out there somewhere right now with crowd choice having been used on it that was probably just unlisted after it was done, and it was just Google said, hey, y'all invite 30 of your friends to jump in and we're gonna do some Dead by Daylight testing or whatever else.
I want to add some fuel to the fire. How are you guys so sure that crowd play is coming in September with Dead by Daylight?
It was in the trailer on the Connect, wasn't it?
Yes, but I think we saw other games as well saying, yeah, we will
Pat.
have crowd play. Get Back will have crowd play. And when the game released, crowd play feature is not there yet. So because it wasn't the Connect, do you guys think when the game drops on Stadia, the feature will be available already?
My heart says no, but my head says yes. So, no, other way around. I don't know. Part of me says yes, part of me says no. The reason being is because, like you said, Get Packed, they said it was coming, it didn't. And how many months later are we since the game launched, and we still haven't got it? But then part of me thinks they would be foolish to say it would be coming on Dead by Daylight, but then also not come. So there's going to be a lot more people now holding them accountable if it doesn't than what there was when Get Packed came out, because we've got to assume that obviously Stadia is growing day by day. So there's my answer.
And in the press release, I pulled up the press release, or I pulled up a website that had the press release for it. It just says Dead by Daylight will offer crowd choice, a Stadia exclusive feature, blah, blah, blah. And then Dead by Daylight on Stadia will also allow streamers to invite their community to join in. It doesn't say day and date, but
See, I think
Eli saying he has a connection to find out that we're going to have a Stadia Connect in September. Eli, why don't you go ahead and DM me on Twitter, and we'll keep that off the record, but at Bolton Nerdist, and because I'd love to see those texts, and I promise those will stay off the record.
See, I think with the crowd play kind of stuff, you have to look at the wording through the trailer as well. Because if you look at, I'm just using this one as an example, but if you look at Destroy All Humans, all the trailers up until the one that had the actual date on, Stadia logo was there. As soon as they released any trailers with the release date on, Stadia was removed, PC logo was placed there, and it's been like that since. So if it says coming with crowdplay, then that comes out. Well, that's the way the word that is when it does come.
Spit it out, Ash.
When it is released, it will have crowdplay. Whereas if they say that you can use crowdplay with it, that doesn't necessarily mean it will come with crowdplay from day one. It will just, you can just use crowdplay at some point throughout the game's life once it's fully active.
So I kind of just want to quickly interject here as well, and I think the guy's gone, or lady, it could be a lady, I don't know. But what's going on with the giveaway you guys are having? So I just want to kind of show this off while it's on the screen. So if you go to the website, sorry Eddie, your face is going to be covered for a second.
No problem at all. No problem at all.
If you look here, we've got a pinned post, which is the Orsley Essentials product review here. If you click on that, scroll your way down to the bottom. After reading it all, of course, read the review. And there's a link here where you can enter the competition. So if anybody else is looking to join that as well, that's where you find it. So
when is the last date then for the giveaway?
Great question, Eddie. That question is running through the end of the day on August 26th, and we will we'll let the winner know and announce it on the podcast on Thursday, August 27th. So you have till 11:59 British on the 26th to get that entry in, time-stamped.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I saw a question from Eli earlier. I just want to bring up for a sec. It's to do with the codes, how the streamer is able to give codes away when we don't have the ability to gift codes ourselves. With that, I've known about this from other stuff in the past, that when you request codes like this, for example, whether it's Stadia or the developer, publisher, or whoever, they're able to essentially request keys from where they come from. So it randomly generates keys for you, which is where the streamers get these from. Whereas at the moment, Stadia itself doesn't have the functionality to be able to do that itself, to then send onwards. I'm pretty sure we spoke about this in the past, that we do believe it will come in the future, that you will be able to gift games, DLC and stuff like that. It's just a matter of when. Like at the moment, there are still a lot of features we don't have, Like we don't have the ability to text message people through the app or through Chromecast or the website itself, as well as we don't also have pre-orders set up yet. So I think once those are in place, this may then also come.
Don't forget that we found, Gem, I can't remember if this was in our findings or Gem's findings.
Gem or Adam.
Yeah. But basically, there was mention of wish lists coming to Stadia, so it's entirely possible that, for example, you could look at someone's wish list and say, I actually want to purchase that game for my friend, given that it's their birthday next week or something like that, or for whatever reason, you want to buy someone else's games instead of yourself. So there could be a possibility there. Don't forget that you can also buy Google gift cards, Google vouchers, and give them the monetary value that they could use then to buy that game. So there's ways around it for the time being, at least, but with nothing concrete at the moment.
The problem then is they just use that Google Play gift credit to buy extra lives on Candy Crush, and then you don't get the joy of playing with them in the game. You bought them the gift card so that they would buy.
Yeah.
I would say the Google Play gift cards are a fantastic gift for any Stadia player that you know. That's literally the only thing I asked for Christmas this year. I was like, I just want Google Play gift. Don't get me anything else. I get it. You want to have a nice, find me a thing that means something. I am now playing Stadia all day, every day. Get me gift cards. And surprisingly, it worked. Usually folks completely ignore that when you say those things.
Avery, you were saying about Fall Guys that you almost got it on Steam. So what we know, the publisher for the game is Devolver. The game is right now, it's available for PC and PlayStation 4.
Yeah.
Do you guys think it will come to Stadia at some point, or it will come to Stadia after it comes to Xbox, Switch, and then it will come to Stadia?
They're being cagey on it right now. While I was Googling, I was like, Fall Guys Stadia, and trying to find if anybody had said anything. And they're being cagey on it right now. They're saying, at the moment, we're targeting PlayStation 4 and PC, but we're certainly considering other platforms. And by that, they just mean Xbox and Switch. Like, of course, that's what they're going to mean. But, hopefully, I would think that it could really take advantage. This is another game where right now, the rounds are limited to X number of people. I haven't played it, so it's 60, 80, whatever it is. Like, that's, again, use the power of Stadia and have Stadia exclusive 400 bean rounds, where you can only do this on Stadia, just like you do with Grid and Bomberman. And that would be a really killer win for Stadia if they could talk these guys into doing it.
I was just going to say about what's his name, Eddie's fly. He's just mentioned it in the private chat. I actually had one the other day while we were streaming, and it just kept flying across the screen there. And Ash was like, every time.
I just get something.
I'm holding the pillow here, just ready to smash it when it flies again. Let's see if
Eddie's camera's just going to get dark in a minute.
Just like you got to smash that fly, you got to smash that like and subscribe button. You guys? Oh, all right.
Yeah. Levi Gamer says they don't have Google gift cards available in Denmark. That is very unfortunate.
Very terrible.
So right now,
I will say. Oh, sorry. Cyber Ferret saying, Devolver, I think is what you mean, have games on. Yeah, the Serious Sam stuff is from Devolver. So we know they support the platform. And it's just a matter of, are they going to bring... I mean, they've got a very big library. They are a publisher who works with a bunch of indies to publish their games. So it's not necessarily like Devolver is putting the game out on Stadia, but like Devolver is getting the people who made Katana Zero or Hotline Miami or The Messenger or any of those to come onto Stadia. So if Devolver says, hey, we're going to push our people and go headlong into it, they've got a lot of killer games. Katana Zero, Messenger, Minute, Hotline Miami, Enter the Gungeon is from them. My Friend Pedro, the Carry On, that game has had like tremendous response so far, is one of theirs. The Talos Principle. So there's like room for them on Stadia. There's room for everyone on Stadia, but there's room for them on Stadia certainly.
See, for me, I didn't really hear about this game until a few weeks ago, which as soon as I did, I needed it, and it is currently on my wish list on Steam. So for all we know, obviously we don't know what has been spoken about between Devolver and the PlayStation guys. So for all we know, it could have originally meant to have been planned for Steam with the expansion to console and potentially Stadia in the future. But by the time they did talk to PlayStation, they could have made an agreement where for like a timed exclusive, because it's already been promised for Steam, to just be Steam and PlayStation for a while and then to expand after. So it could be that we do get it down the line, just not for a while yet.
You seeing that?
And Carry On was asked, and they did a wink and a nod. Hey, we can't confirm anything, but there's definitely a chance. A studio is not going to say that if the game is not under consideration. They would say, we have no news to share at this time, and that's all. Or they would just give you a no. But if it's like, that's way more of a wink and a nod than we get from other folks.
And that was 8 months ago, so there's every chance that we could see it sooner rather than later. Because they've had plenty of time.
Yeah. Right now, it doesn't... Fall Guys was part of the PlayStation Plus pool, so that leads it to being potentially a timed exclusive. But like, they've never come out and said it's a timed exclusive. A lot of folks are just assuming that. So, because if it's on Game Pass, it's usually, So, it'd be a really fun game to get, you guys. The Fall Guys people, if you've not followed their Twitter, they are like exploded on Twitter. They have hundreds of thousands of followers at this point.
400
400 and in like a week and a half. And like I was scrolling through the feed today, and like Kentucky Fried Chicken is messaging them like, hey, we should get a Colonel themed thing, and like all these other game companies are interacting with them, and I'm like, we need that. Like, Outcasters is struggling to get to 500 followers, and Fall Guys over here with 500,000 in a week and a half. Like, we need that, because that will build the buzz in the list of things we need.
See, I am in the Discord for Outcasters. For me, I can't wait for the game. It looks hilarious and fun, and news about that will come in the future. You'll see. You'll understand. But with the characters themselves, they do look a bit like Mr. Meeseeks from Rick and Morty. And it has been mentioned within the Discords that, it's like a little mini Meeseeks. And I have mentioned to one of the devs, like, what about if you just went to the Rick and Morty guys, Dan Harmon, and I forgot the other guy's name. Not that I don't like you. You're amazing guys.
He's not watching.
Because we know they watch. Shout out to Dan Harmon, creator of Community and other amazing properties.
And the other one.
Yes, the other one.
And the other one.
That's not
Dan Harmon plus one.
If they just like reached out to them, potentially see if they could do like a little team up where they do have Mr. Meeseeks, whether it's just for like a month or something, just as a little exclusive, just to get them in there. Obviously, popularity from both sides, and essentially just see what happens.
Yeah, not Fall Guys. Outcasters. If anything, Fall Guys is proving the potential of Outcasters, and even Outcasters with crowd play, because Outcasters is 8v8 or 4v4. I don't remember.
8 players in total.
So yeah, 4v4, short matches. It is a great game to have as a party title, if I may call it so. By the way, I even today, while just doing a full circle again, today during the presentation from Cyberpunk, there was a weapon where you shoot and the weapon goes around and kills people around. Say, oh, Outcasters.
Yeah.
Come on, we're giving you marketing ideas, folks. We know you're all watching. So, use them. Yeah, we're free for us to you.
And obviously, don't
KFC
forget
and Stadia get together.
Obviously, don't forget if you've got a game that you want to come to Stadia, be sure to let the developers and the publishers know. At them on Twitter. Feel free to drop them an email if you can get their email addresses as well. Just every little helps. You never know. They might just have a light switch moment where they go, "Oh, actually, yeah, I do want my game on Stadia." So worth a try. What have you got to lose?
Even if you
Twitter's
don't
literally free.
Even if you don't think one message will help, it may then get the publisher to look into Stadia.
I'm pretty
They'll
sure
then
you've
see
done
what's
that,
there and then
Ash,
they'll
haven't you?
expand. I have.
Was it Chroma's gone?
Yeah, I've spoken to those guys before, which love the guys spoken to in the past. I've not had a reply back yet from, but I have also spoken to. I see that smirk, Avery. But I have also spoken to the guys who do the Jackbox party games. They have come back saying that they are actually looking into it. They don't currently have any other information, but at least we know that they are definitely looking at potentially bringing that across, which, like Avery says earlier, this will be a huge hit of a game if it was to come to Stadia.
And I can't imagine at this point that there is a studio that has sold more than 100,000 copies of a game in their lifetime that is not considering Stadia. Because I was just kind of doing this math in my head the other day. Let's imagine it takes 10 employees working full-time for a year that on a game that's already out there to port it to Stadia, and you're paying them $100,000 a year, okay? So that's $1 million that you need to get them to port that game over to Stadia. If you sell that game for $60 and Google takes their third, whatever, so you're only netting $40, it's 25,000 sales. That's all you need is 25,000 people to buy that game to recoup that $1 million. Now, it's a lot more complicated than that, and I'm certain that some games are going to take a lot more than 10 devs, and some might only take 2 because there's only 5 people in your whole dang studio. But it's pretty, it's a no-brainer, particularly considering, people on Stadia are hungry for content, hungry for games. You're going to have sales. We know that there are at least 500,000 people that have downloaded the app on Android. We don't know if that translates to installs or sales, but there's a market and there's an audience, and we all want more games, more games.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love for a game like Jackbox Party Pack. I mean, I've had so many laughs in the past with games like Fibbage and Drawful. I can absolutely see that being a game, especially crowd play. You know what I mean, where you can fill a lobby with people to play. And the beauty of the Jackbox Party Pack as well is that you don't, because for example, we used to play it on the Xbox. You don't actually have to have an Xbox to play, because you do it via the browser. You just go on your phone or on a tablet or something. You go to jackbox.tv. As long as you've got the room code, you can play along, and obviously you can watch whoever's streaming it as well. So you don't even have to own the game to play it. Or the console. I mean, obviously, Stadia is not a console, but so a game like that would absolutely be, in my opinion, very, very easy to bring to Stadia as well.
And you pair the crowd play, crowd play to get your 8 on a lot of those 8-player games, and then everybody else joins the audience because they still get to play and they're already watching the stream. So they've got, or they could use the code. They could use the code or they could use the crowd play. Just bring them on in. That one's a no-brainer. Crowd choice to pick which game you want to do, or crowd choice on those dis or dat, like the rounds where it's pick a word and all that kind of stuff. It writes itself. The check writes itself. Jackbox games.
I've almost been tempted to do a stream of that on Stadia Source, but knowing that it's not quite a Stadia game, I thought it would be fun for the community just to kind of not only just play it and obviously have some fun in the moment, but also kind of show the potential of what it could be like on Stadia as well.
If you want to see a Jackbox Games stream from us, hit the comments down below and let us know. Maybe we do it as a Patreon exclusive, or
maybe not live stream, but we'll see.
But
this is where everybody jumps on and goes, Stadia Source are streaming Jackbox Party Pack, therefore it must be on Stadia. And we end up causing a massive uproar. So yeah.
It's the handful of folks in the Stadia community that have been streaming Avengers because we're gonna get it. And we're like, well, but then it's not clear. And you're also playing Spider-Man, and we're not getting Spider-Man.
That is cheating.
You can't get advanced credit for a game we don't have. Or you could literally stream anything and then just re-release the game later. Footage not taken from Stadia. Be bad. Well, gentlemen, we're about to hit that 1 hour mark. If you are tuning in super late or you tune in halfway through and wondering what the heck was going on, we will be attempting to reschedule Karim Jovian for a future opportunity to be on the round table with us. Eddie, thank you so much for joining in and jumping in as an impromptu guest. We appreciate having you today.
Absolutely, guys. Thanks for the invitation. Great to be here.
Your insight is always super, super appreciated. Dan, have a great rest of your Monday and a good weekend.
I will do. Thank you very
Lord
much.
Moore, you as well.
I'll try.
All right, and you out there, thank you for joining us for this impromptu open mic session of the Stadia Source Round Table podcast Xtra. If you are watching, down there in the box below, there is a like button, and I would love it if you hit it because it lets us know that you are totally cool with this being an open mic today. And right next to that is a subscribe button, and that will let you know the next time we do have a live stream with or without a special guest to join us. You can join us right here on YouTube most Thursday evenings for the normal Stadia Source Round Table podcast. This week, on this Thursday, we got some really awesome special guests, not one, but two, and you might know them from other very popular Stadia programs that, like, this guy might actually have been on at a time or two, or might be on regularly. And you can check that out. Hit that subscribe button and hit the bell to be notified when we go live with the Stadia Source Roundtable podcast. If you are interested in supporting the Stadia Source, head on out to our website at stadiasource.com, and you can check out opportunities to become a patron or throw us a tip. Follow us on Twitter at Stadia Source. Follow us on, like us on Facebook. Tell your tell a neighbor about us. Just knock on your neighbor's door and say, hey, social distancing, but you should really check out Stadia Source and let us know. And you can join our Discord at stadiasource.com/discord. For the Stadia Source Roundtable podcast, my name is Avery, and have a good one.